Alrighty. Okay. There we go. I'm alive. Alright. So, just fiddling with a couple things here. Let's see. All right. Notably, when we ended stream last, we had a issue we had been experiencing. Why is this? Okay. Can I into this, please? This one. I don't remember what the command was for that. Nope, not that. Let's see. I'm just trying to stop a Windows subsystem or Linux thing. I think that's part of what was shut down. It was causing my issues during the last stream. It was hogging a bunch of memory. Although have I rebooted the computer since then? I might have. So that, I think, may have been part of the issue with it during the last stream, is just the memory usage from that. The other possibility that I was guessing at could be related to the Git plugin for the engine, but I'm not certain about that one either. There's definitely still some major latency on this computer. I'm not sure what the situation is with that. It literally doesn't do it until I'm streaming, but this isn't the computer running OBS, so I don't know what it's mad about. I was just trying to close Task Manager. Can you calm down and just close? The moment the stream starts, it's like scuff time. Come on now. What is it mad about? Okay, can you even tell me what's spiking? Uh, 75% CPU usage, but no one thing is like actually guilty of using everything, so I'm not really sure. But the problem on that one... Okay, so... I guess what we're going to do now that I have... done that is... Okay, I've got another, like, different project open on another screen, and it doesn't have the slowdowns, so... I'm going to try this again. We're going to see what happens. Wait, is this on the C drive? Hang on. That actually could make a lot of sense. Gotta take a break real quick here. Do I not actually have that program installed anymore? Interesting. Wiz tree is what I was looking for. Let's find out what's taking up all this space on the C drive. Yeah, 'cause that definitely, that needs to be moved off the C drive if that's where it's been hanging out. C drive scan. Alright, we'll go ahead and switch. I don't have everything pulled up on here yet, but we'll go ahead and switch. Do that, and then it's gonna take its sweet time to scan. Now, of course, the disk scanner is deciding that it's... Oh, there it goes. Yeah, because it's telling me I've only got about 46 gigs free out of 3.6 terabytes. So something is definitely eating all the space. Get rid of this. Let's delete some files. I am noticing I'm no longer getting the weird Git errors from the Git plugin that I was getting before. So I don't know what's changed on that front. And come on now, let's see. Can you stop what you're doing, please? Stop being terrible. Oh, come on now. Yeah, it's this particular project itself seems to be what's slowing things down, which is strange. Why would it be this particular project? Is there something it's doing? I guess it could be doing something very specific. But I don't know what. Okay, I'm about to make it mad because I need to run an OBS instance on here in order to mirror the screen. That's interesting. I know it's not on screen or anything, but it seems like the editor project was running in the background because I was still trying to mess with the disk scanner. And it was getting not like super high FPS, but the FPS counter was, doing work. And then I clicked into it thinking, oh, maybe it's running smoothly in the background. I'll try moving around in the level. And then it just like froze. So I don't, oh, there it goes. It gave it back to me. Yeah, when I go to try to move, it freaks out. Interesting. I'm gonna switch camera while I figure this out. Ooh, blurry. So blurry. Why are we so blurry? Alright. Can this thing chill out, please? Let me close out a bunch of stuff. Can this close? Come on now. does seem like it's got a really long logging time on a lot of its messages, which is strange. Can we close, please? Jeez. All right. Can close. I guess among other things, I'm going to disable the source control. That might be part of the problem. My Control-Alt-Delete finally responded, so it's like trying to open that now. Okay, can it do its thing, please? And then I need to check. Is there a config file I can edit to do that? Okay, let me edit the project file and disable the Git plugins and see where that gets us. Okay, and then we can get rid of those. What is it mad about? Something's using way more. Oh, it's freaking running again. Why? Why is Windows Subsystem for Linux running again? Let's see it. Those keys. Restarting. Okay, so oh, I didn't mean to open a second one of these ridiculous things. Let's see, a lot of packages are in that. Oh, geez. Okay, those could certainly add up. Okay, then the things I should probably remove would be and those two, if I remove them, should free up a lot of space. And that should help with that. And then I guess I'm just going to let's get central. Version? No, okay. I know Get Central was really prone to being super slow. I'm gonna remove this. I think that'll help. It's open in another program. What program is it open in? All right. Should be able to switch this now. Okay. In task. Now delete. I will say that the fact that Git LFS was still running on that is kind of ridiculous. Okay, so I'll have to clean that up with version control stuff later, but let's try to open it now and see if it still freaks out. Cancel, go away. should be able to send that to restraint now. I just gotta wait on this. Let's see. Taking its sweet time, but it's going relatively fast, which is a good sign. And it hasn't hung up anywhere yet, so... Okay. Now, here's the question. Will it finish properly opening, or is it going to freeze up again? That was pretty good. Yeah, it's not like freaking out. All right. So, I don't actually know what the solution ended up being then, because I did a few different things. Could very well have been that I keep having that Windows subsystem for Linux relaunching itself. which unfortunately is needed for a different project. So that's kind of annoying, and it's eating up memory. Or the fact that this project was being stored on the C drive, which I didn't think it was, and that was reaching capacity, so I cleared some space off of it. Or it was the Git plugin, which I guessed at yesterday, because it was trying to check in files, like check the status of files when it first launched and connect to version control. And yeah, version control is still important, and I still want to use it for everything, but I can do that through my editor, so I'm not, like, through my through Writer here, so I'm not really, like, that affected by not running it directly in the editor. The main benefit that you get if you're running it in the editor is that if you use file locking, it can determine what files you're actually modifying. If like you have to touch multiple files that are, you know, children or parents of various children, and it will go ahead and add all of those as like checked out files, and then you can easily put them back. But that's not really the situation here. Like, we don't need that. That's more of a concern if you're going to work collaboratively with blueprints, because they don't version properly the way that standard code files do. So, but I think we're going to be fine on that front. I do now probably have to get rid of a bunch of stuff that's in my commit history related to plugins, that plugin in particular, but I think it'll be fine. So now that we're finally in here, the main thing can I get this open too? Blah. Sorry for the flashbang. That was not what was supposed to happen. Okay. Is this gonna work the way it's supposed to as far as... Oh, that really blows me out if I do it that way. Yeah, we don't want that. We're gonna stick to a color then. Let's stick to a darker color. What I was trying to do was get this to show I don't really need it to overlay or anything. There we go. Oh, this makes me super dark, which is weird. Okay, maybe up it a smidge. There we go. Oop! We hit an ad break. Okay, so now that we fixed the shenanigans that were going on, all right, we should be back from the ads. So then what we're going to do here is I just wanted to show kind of where we stand right now. Wait, I think I still have that breakpoint toggled. Yep, I sure do. All right, okay, so it's gonna do that again when we go to equip an item. So I've got it now where when we equip, and we can kind of step through this just to show. So it's triggering, it's going from the sort of empty fists, which aren't really a weapon, but that's sort of my way of defining that the player has nothing in their hands without having to create a system to handle nulls. It just defaults to an empty, what I'm considering an empty weapon. And then by the time it actually executes the parent, we get this, which is because we've picked up a weapon, it's picking up the pistol. Now, what it's supposed to be doing is looking for a pistol that has, well, I clicked into the editor window. It's supposed to be looking for a specific pistol. This instance, which I edited to give 6 ammo, is what the default is for the pistol. And so it gives us that. The problem right now that remains is that was twofold. One, we're not actually, when we fire the gun, which technically is kind of in place, we're not actually consuming any of the ammo in our inventory, nor are we when we reload, which is also kind of in place. The UI elements on the main HUD act like we are, but it doesn't actually consume anything. And in fact, if you unequip and re-equip the weapon, it's still in place and refreshes the ammo. But there is an issue in that it's feeding the same ammo number to both of these that I need to investigate. But it goes through, it does that, and it eventually passes it to some values that can get read. So the interesting thing is here that we get, at this point, ammo clip is coming through as 12, which is fine. The ammo available, this is where it comes through. Yeah, 6 and 6. Anyways, it passes along. It's going to do this a couple times because of how the system works. Oh, I accidentally... yeah, okay. So you see we have 6 ammo here. But see, it's reflecting that as being on the side, on both the total and the what we have in the clip. We can, there's nothing that happens, no sounds or effects or anything, no bullets. We can fire and it reduces the ammo. And then if you hit that or you hit R to reload, it reloads the ammo, and you can then consume that. But remember, we only have actually 6 bullets, so we're now empty. We don't fire, and we can't reload it. But the ammo's still in the gun because we're not actually consuming it at the moment. Which means if you do this number, and of course it's going to trigger this stuff again. It's now reloaded because it doesn't consume that ammo. So that's one of the things we need to do. We also need to make sure that that secondary number is the total amount of ammo we have available in our inventory, not like our reloadable ammo, not the ammo in the chamber, because that is technically not correct. So I'll go ahead and exit out of that. But that's significant progress from where we had been. So all right, we're gonna need to look over a couple things. That's our shortcut slot, which we don't really need right now. It's a crosshair widget. We don't really need that open right now. We shouldn't need this guy open right now. What we do need to do is go through and find our the point where that ammo is actually getting passed. I'm gonna close some of these because we don't need them open at the moment. this is our inventory item. Let's see. Item pistol. So we see the max stack of ammo is here. It's 6. I'm gonna up that to 12 because I want the clip size to be 6, and you have to reload. But, well, or 12. 12 actually might be more reasonable, but the 12 is what you need to reload. But what should be happening is, ideally, is the amount of ammo you pick up is actually from this guy. That was my intention with setting an ammo thing here, is that when you put it in the world, you can say, this has this much ammo in it. And at the moment, that's not what's actually happening. So that's another little detail that I need to fix. This is our break point. Go ahead and turn that off because it's a little bit annoying. And then we need to try to find what all calls this guy across our blueprints here. Okay. Got our list here. We're not really worried about this guy because that was this is not even implemented anymore. In fact, for the sake of not driving myself insane, I'm gonna remove that because this is like the 3rd or 4th time that I've found reference to that section of code that I had removed. So, okay, so that's not in here. We don't care about him. As for the rest of these, this is a definition. It's in the master as well as the base. Those are definitions. Our weapon character visuals is really more of a making sure we spawn the weapon situation. Current clip ammo and current ammo information is all there. But that gets it from the item interface. What we actually need is sort of 2 things. the ammo available comes from current ammo on the interface. So we should probably investigate that guy, but here, equip weapon. That's the one we were, yeah, so this is what we were looking at. And the weapon character master component. So here, that's where we equip our fists, which is fine. It would probably be good to go in and comment on these other nodes that I'd added, just so that, like these, I can tell what they're for. So that ammo clip current is definitely a thing that we need to make sure is working correctly. Let's see, that is playing animations and stuff, so that's fine. So I need to take a look at that blueprint. Specifically, we need to look at this guy. Now, what we probably need to do is, this is a world item object that I created as like a generic, but in truth, this is still sort of a global item class. We are going to want to have it more customized. So that very likely means that, let's see, yeah, we got that as a, we should treat this as, I'm thinking, what all's in here? Yeah, this is for like inspection of stuff. Server interact. let's do... yeah, let's do this. Let's rename this guy. Make that the master file. Okay, then let's not rename it. I don't think I have anything hard named for that, but all right. We can just work off of it like is. I just wanted to stick to the naming convention I was using. We'll create a couple event dispatchers. And then and then we'll say on pick up begin overlap. And for this one, we do need a parameter. We're just gonna have this be an actor, since theoretically anything could be overlapping. And then the same is going to be true. Okay, yeah, you can't duplicate these. On pickup and it's going to be true here. We just want an actor parameter. And then we also want to acknowledge when the item's been picked up and what actor picked it up. The actor will also probably come in handy there. And I don't think we're going to very often respawn items. But I might. So I'm going to add a respawn. And then we've got some functions that we're already using. But I'm going to create a couple, or some events rather. I'm going to create a couple additional events. This is going to be set timeout. Because the other thing with this, doing these like this, is we should be able to pick up to inactive, have a little control over our pickup. Like right now, if let's say I wanted to make a weapon that was locked in a case, technically the way the traces work, I believe as long as you couldn't see it, you wouldn't be able to take it. But we can't assume that the player can't find a way to maneuver themselves in such a fashion that they could look into, you know, your locked box and take the item they're not supposed to have yet. So, because if all my years of Bethesda games taught me anything, is that they will 100% do that kind of shenanigans, because I would do that as well. So for something like this, we would be able to like define if an item can be picked up yet, and do it somewhat dynamically. Yeah, we could set a status, like set a variable on the object. But we can also check from like the object's perspective to confirm if certain things are done. Oh wait, I need to actually try to create the event first. On fade out. Helps if I could type. And we're going to group these guys along with our event begin play. Into activation. And then we're also going to set up a custom event, input check, and a custom event. We technically already have an on can interact and an on interact, but those are from the interaction component. If we have something that we want the item itself to do when it is interacted with, then we're going to need an event for that. And so that's going to actually be here. And we're going to group these under interaction. And that'll help me like compartmentalize, because if we have an object type that doesn't need this, we just won't use it. It'll be fine. It'll be here, but it won't do anything. We won't be hard locking the specific things into anything here. So let's do that. And then we're gonna also have some other logic here, which is gonna be custom event. Ah, shit. Custom event. Stop moving. Initialize pickup. And custom event. on picked up. This will be our pickup logic. Respawning. That'll help us like set up any kind of respawn rules that we might need. We also need some effects related stuff in case we want it to be like a physics enabled object or things like that. So we're going to custom event. Update. Toggle pick up. Mesh visibility. Set pickup color. Let's see. And then we'll do pickup fade. This will be fade in. Destroy on out. And then toggle physics simulation. And then is it on? And then reset mesh position. So we'll call these our effects. Now it's worth noting that as of right now, I've got this object on here, which is not inherently what we want. We'll deal with that in a moment. So our world item let's see. Let's do a collision. Hang on, actually. Material billboard. I don't want it to be the default route. Hang on. I mean, I want it to, but not in that fashion. Can I just... Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. That's actually exactly what I wanted to do. I was worried it was going to do something else. Okay, so this is our pickup mesh. And then we want to add a sphere, but we care more about a collision. Yeah, sphere collision, that's what I want. And we're just gonna call it pickup collision sphere. We don't need it to be very big. By default, at least. I'm going to make this something we can turn off. But another thing I think may be useful in some scenarios is to do a small point light. Just to... We're actually going to default its intensity to 0. Movable's good. Because we can use this as like a way to illuminate items and make sure the player can see them. Is my line of thinking. Let's also add a rotating movement. We're not necessarily going to use it. We wanted to update only if rendered, though. I would say we're not going to explicitly activate it. We're about to have an ad break. The ad break is over. That's good. Let's see. I want to make a material for this guy real quick. Let's do material. Oh, hang on. It'd be easier to just do it over here. Materials. We'll put it in here for now. Material. It's gonna be M, and we're gonna call this pickup ring. Again, this is almost gonna be more of a debug thing. A method of highlighting the item. May or may not leave it in the final game. This is going to need to be translucent and need to be unlit. It's always going to face the camera, so we don't need it to be two-sided. I would say it doesn't need to cast ray tracing shadows. So let's do color, which should be a vertex color, I believe. Nope. It's gonna be a vector. I think. Right? Vector parameter. Yeah. We'll just call this ring color. Our default value. Make it like a greenish color so that it stands out against our other backgrounds. And then there we go. We need to set this to a multiply. Okay, the default value for this will make like 20. We need to multiply it again to add this, pardon me, to add this to it. This will be our emissive color. And from this, we can do a subtract. And radial gradient exponential. Why did it do it like that? That was weird. Yeah, so do it like that. And then do a scalar parameter on our radius. Outer radius. 0.5. And density. Scalar parameter. Outer density. Oops, if I can freaking spell. And we'll make that 5. And then we're going to do the same thing for here. Scalar parameter. This is going to be inner radius. A little bit smaller. And our density. Inner density. 2. And then multiply that. For our opacity. Another scalar parameter. Of 1. Scalar parameter. .1. And then this is going to be a camera offset. And scalar parameter. Okay. And then we can put that on this guy. We'll make it something you can remove. That can be turned off. I like doing it in screen space. Although that might mean... Yeah. Okay, and then we don't need this to be visible in reflections. Doesn't receive decals. Cool. Okay, so there's a couple more things I want to do. And we need an interface. Let's see. Yeah. Did we already do this guy? Yeah. So let's make sure we add this to this guy. There we go. And then, is there anything else I think I need to do here? Functions. Play, pick up, sound. Any variables? Let's see. Item class. Inspection class. Okay. So for this then, we should probably do weapon pickup info. a structure for that yet, so... Weapon info struct. It should be... So, go into our data and our structs. Did we do a pickup struct? We were just searching for it, so I don't think so. Yeah, no. I do need to reorganize some of these into the folders like I was doing. Folder. Pickups. This is going to be under miscellaneous. No, right? Blueprint. Struct. F. Pick up. Weapon info struct. Okay, so let's do this as our mesh. Which generally, I would say we probably don't have to worry about, because we're getting that information elsewhere. But we'll do that there. Weapon slot, which should be determined by a, come on, slots type. Should be that guy. And then ammo type. Again, most of this should already be in place. because it'll be on our object. But I want to make sure, and it's in the data table, but I want to make sure we can pull this information quickly. Okay. And then we'll do Boolean. And lock these under that guy. Just like that. Active. He is in pickup radius. Respawn timer active. Ring material. This will be a material instance. And then a on picked up actor. Initial location. VA transform. Inside of each of these, we'll have the respawn pickup. Time out. This is going to be our respawn time. It's going to be a float. We'll make a picked up sound. There should be a sound base, but a soft reference. We need set a couple other things in here. Set our activation distance. Interact to pick up. It's gonna be a Boolean. reset position when out of reach. I'm gonna do this, which basically my idea is that I can set it up where by default it will always try to get the mesh from the actor or the item that you associate it to, but you have the option of overriding that for whatever reason by just adding a mesh here. Is my idea. Rotation rate. And then pick up color. We're gonna make this a linear color. And then we'll do a light intensity. weapon ID. So we can make this a data table, data blah. Table row handle type. All right, should be back from the ad break. Yeah, that should be. Instance editable. Yeah, it'd be better to set this variable to this. Let's see. B color determined by slot. Boolean. And then we can do color by slot. Not those. This one, I think. No. Yeah. Yeah, that should be correct. And then we map that to a linear color. Cool. All right. So this is a miscellaneous. Okay. Okay, so then with this guy. is defined enums. I think it'll be fine to rename this thing. Let's see. Time out. There we go. That's what I was after. And then is pickup active. I should be able to override play pickup sound. Set this guy up. Don't know why I wasn't getting a rename option. L manager. And then is valid. Oops. I wanted to do it as the check. That one. And then play sound at location. If it's valid. Get our picked up sound. And we get our get actor location. Alrighty. Pop my shoulder. Ugh. Okay. This. We're going to get the static mesh. Set static mesh. We're going to collapse this. Just like this, and then collapse nodes to editor mesh. That just keeps it a little cleaner. Because I want to do a couple things. One is, like we mentioned, I want to make it where if you set a pickup mesh, it uses that. It's otherwise going to use... Oh, hello. Oh, I've been beaten by emotes. Hello, Key. Hello, Raiders. Yes, I get smacked with things. Also, my face doesn't apparently correct itself, so one moment. All better. Yeah, I set it up where things get thrown at me when certain things happen. So that includes raids, it includes other types of supports, follows, and subs, I think. Also, there's some redeems for throwing things at me, as well as bits. Bits also get thrown at me. But hello, Raiders. Welcome in. Let's see. So, I think we share a lot of similar viewers, but for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Crimson, or you can also just call me Patrick. I'm not always a VTuber. You just happen to have caught me on a VTuber day. My VTuber's name is Zero. He's a funny little robot man. And I do game dev and gaming streaming. Right now we're doing game dev. I'm working on my horror game, One Man's Poison. We're doing some inventory stuff today. Working on item pickups. because it mostly works. In fact, I can show here kind of what we have going. I don't think I've left it in a broken state. We're about to find out. Sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes you leave things in a broken state. So we have an inventory system, nothing in there. We pick up our weapon. It is now in here, right? And then we've got our gun. It's not actually shooting anything, but you can see it is consuming the ammo from the counter. And then we can reload. And we can fire. Now, there is a little bit of a problem that I currently need to resolve in that it's not actually consuming the ammo from our inventory, which means that if I were to, say, toggle my weapon, bring it back out, I have my ammo all over again. So there's still some bugs. It also is using more ammo than we actually have, and that has to do with some stuff I'm still working on. But we've got that, and it's a RE4 style inventory, so we'll be able to drag it around. Yeah. So right now I'm working on the item pickup and ways to define what you're picking up and the information about it. And that's what you've caught me in the middle of here. Is that how many inventory slots you think you'll have for the final, or is it just a placeholder for now? If you're referring to the case itself, my long-term plan is that you will be able to, if you're referring to these over here for item slots, I've actually kind of changed my plan about these. These will probably include some gear slots for like body armor or something to improve your defense. But originally my plan was to have multiple weapons equipped here. I've instead moved the weapons to the shortcuts because I was having some problems with defining how they were getting equipped and keeping them on the shortcut when equipping them, because technically speaking, all slots are kind of the same, including the shortcuts. If you're referring to the grid system here, this can actually be adjusted pretty easily. And so I don't know if this will be the starting amount for the final game, but my intention is for you to be able to upgrade it as you play and gradually get a little more space. But I especially am proud of the opening case animation. That took me the longest to do, was to do a 3D case on a 2D interface, because that's not how interfaces work in Unreal by default. So this is some trickery that's happening here. I've shown it before, but I could show it again for people that are new. Close this. Use. So our inventory is actually consisting of two different layers. There's the top layer and then there's the bottom layer. And what's funny is you might notice that when I turn off the top layer, you're still looking at the top of the case. And that is because the case consists of two animated meshes that are captured in, where is it here? It's in miscellaneous, I believe, right now. It's here. They are these guys, which are my capture actors, and they basically spawn into the world with a camera, and they spawn in hidden in two pieces. And the reason you're still seeing the top of the case is because they spawn on top of each other, and then they play. So there's a open animation that plays on the lid in particular. That as soon as so as soon as it's activated, which happens whenever it's added to the inventory, it plays this animation and the case opens up, which you then get this result on the main screen. So it's not actually 2D. In fact, if it were to hesitate to load properly, it would end up not looking right. You love behind the scenes trickery like this. That took the longest time. Like in Overwatch, a tiny diva being under the mech on the map. Yeah, so basically what has to happen in order for that case to work is the mesh has to actually exist in the world. And so it's just, I believe it's just spawning it at like the world origin, like 0, during the game. It's just probably spawning it down here in the void whenever it's in use, because it has to exist in the world. So it's a similar trick there. In fact, there is a similar trick done in the in RE4 on the GameCube for the UI, because that UI was 3D. A lot of the UI is actually rendered in the world in RE4. And so even then, what they actually had was like a physical 3D case that was just rendered somewhere in the level. That was one option, was actually having the items kind of be 3D and have the case be 3D. But that was, then I was going to physically have to allow like arranging of those things and then also still tie them into the inventory. And I feel like the widgets are a little bit better in terms of performance. And I don't have to deal quite as much with the physics, not in like a literal standpoint, but in like, so when you think about movement in terms of a 3D space, you would generally think of like pitch, yaw, and roll, and that's, you know, you have those three axes. But there's this other nightmare that I barely understand called quaternions. And I don't want anything to do with quaternions if I can absolutely avoid it. So I don't want to have to create a system like that for the inventory. So that's why it's all faked. But yeah, so that's what we're working on. Is getting the inventory going. Right now, I'm making it so that these pickups, when I place them in the world, I can define like what weapon it is. But also so that I'll be able to define, it's actually, these pickups are not just weapons, so I can define if it's a weapon, if it's, say, something you can inspect, or otherwise some other kind of item. If it's only something you inspect and don't put in your inventory, like a piece of lore or something, whether or not it respawns, I can give it a sound when you pick it up. Does it have physics? Can you knock it around? If it's a weapon, what specific weapon is it? In this case, it would be the pistol. How much ammo do you pick up when you do it? In this case, we'll say 6. So doing some stuff like that in terms of setting reusable objects. So big trick to this is making sure you have stuff you can reuse in different ways. And so effectively, at a deeper level, all of the weapons are going to be based on the same systems. And then there'll be individual things about each one that are different. Mostly down to like stats and specific features that are turned on or off. And so that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. That's the base. Did I... Oh, it's over here. It's not docked. That's why I can't find it. So... So how was your stream, Guy? I was in there for a little bit, as you know. Did you guys have fun? Herminia. I'll be honest, I only ever played one of the Octopath games, and I never played the whole thing, so I don't know who that is. I played part of like the first one on the 3DS? Is it a 3DS game? Or maybe it was a Switch game. I don't even remember what it originally came out on. Switch, I think. Yeah, it's a Switch game. My brain. She was... They're not related? Okay. I didn't have anything against the first one. I just, like with a lot of things, had too much going on. So let's get our pickup mesh. Just grind heavy. I do somewhat remember there being a good bit of grind. Let's make this a validated get. Leave me on lurk though. All right, sorry, I had to sneeze. Well, I appreciate the raid. I appreciate the lurks as well. That goes for anyone else that came over on the raid. I actually need to probably go to bed before too long here myself. Let's see. Promote this to a local variable. Call this pickup mesh to use. Mesh to use. Yeah. And actually, it just needs to be a static mesh, if we're honest. Oop. Yes. Break that. Break that. And so if it's valid, set this to that. And it's going to come down here and load into this guy. If it's not valid, so they didn't specify one, then we want to try to get it from our component item. It should be item actor item class. Let me see here. I did something in a construction script for this, didn't I? Yeah. So basically, get rid of this. I'm gonna do this guy here. Oops. True. And then we're gonna basically repeat this. Is basically going to get repeated up here. If we're not valid, we're going to come up here, we're going to do this stuff. Now, what I am going to do here is set this as a mesh to you. That's billboard. We're going to do that. And then set. Because we're going to pull this stuff in. About to have an ad break. Yeah, and then boop, and that can go there, and then that can go there. That should allow that to be overridden. Now, there is, as far as the mesh scale goes, I got an ad break. If you're not getting an ad, don't mind my product placement on the screen here. I have a little promo code if you like to drink energy drinks. 'Cause I got a little bitty fancy little partnership recently. Oh, did I typo that? I just realized I typoed that. That's embarrassing. Yeah, I left the E out of that code. That's so dumb of me. How did I not notice this like 2 hours ago? Alright, hang on, I'm gonna fix it. Add layer. Dubby code. Game dev. Not gam dev. You absolute monster. Alright, all better. Alright, so we are going to do a, let's see, this guy, static mesh, get set relative transform. Split. And so what we want to do is break this out of here. Because it doesn't need to happen here. And yeah, I should be able to do this. We're going to collapse this. Set mesh scale. So we're first checking to see if it's using a pickup mesh. If it's not, it's going to go ahead and make sure that this stuff's good. If it is, then it's going to move on down to pickup mesh scale. If it is not, then it's going to have to run through some stuff here to confirm everything's good. And if it is, then it'll run off of these. Do this. Create dynamic material instance. Get material. Set ring material. There it is. Okay, and then rotation rate. Get rotating movement. No, we already have one of those. Okay, fine. I'll do it this way. If you're going to be like that. Set rotating rate. Oh, hang on. That's not what I wanted to do. set pickup color. And then pickup point light. Set intensity. Light intensity. Cool. And then the last one's gonna be for setting certain things hidden in game or not. Set hidden in game. Alright, so to control this, I'm going to check about for mesh physics for one thing, but also, let's see, show pickup ring. If true, I think to do this one, so if this one's true, then we want to check mesh physics. Because if we want to show it and the mesh physics are on, then we want it hidden. Actually, hang on. Let me think about this. That's not what I want. I want a not Boolean. That's what I was after. Let me put him over here for now. So visibility. So if mesh physics are not on, then we show the ring. So yeah, so in this case we would do a select if pickup ring's on, then we want to check here. Otherwise, we will return false. That should work. And then rotating movement. Set auto activate. Add another variable. B should rotate. So should rotate. Another case of select, because if true, then we need to be concerned about the physics, because we don't want them rotating with the physics. And otherwise, it'll be there. And then our point light. Set world location. It's going to come from the mesh. Get world location. Subtract. Oh dear. Yeah, subtract. Make sure that it's slightly above it. Then we save initial position. Visibility. And then let's do a ring fade time. Oh dear. Timeline. Timeline component. Alright, I think we have kind of hit a good stopping point for the moment. And it is late for me, so I have to call it an evening. Let me see. Let's give Bella some attention. Do a raid to Bells, who was the creator of this VTuber. Looks like they are doing some reading. So if people are getting settled down for the night, we can listen to them tell some stories. So everybody have a good night. I will be back to play video games tomorrow. Good night. Bye-bye.